was your favorite part about being on the Orange Cast?
You know, if you guys have heard this story, I apologize, but the truth is the truth, so I end up having to tell it the same way. Caitlin Glass, how many of you were in Caitlin's channel earlier? She's awesome. Caitlin fell in love with Ouran High School before the show was even licensed. I don't even know where she heard about it, how she heard about it. A friend of hers said, "You've got to check out this show." And she gave her a disc of subtitled episodes. Well, Caitlin watches it, and after like 15 minutes, she calls me and she goes, "OMG, there's this character in this show. You have to watch this show. It's so funny. It's so adorable. It's so neat. And there's this character. It reminds me of you so much. And it is totally you. You are this character in real life." And so I'm starting to think, wow, you know, I got to see who this character is. So she gives me this disc, and I start watching it. And, you know, here's this character, Tamaki Stu, and he's so smooth. And he's, "Oh, princess." And he's so romantic. And I'm thinking, yeah, I can totally see why this reminds her of me. And then he spazzes out, turns into a moron, and runs off into the corner, and I'm like, hey! This can't remind you of me. What the heck? But suffice it to say, I just fell in love with Tamaki. And that's just like the worst thing you want to do when you've not been cast in the role yet. Because it's like the kiss of death, you know, you kind of jinx yourself. Like, your hopes are resting too much on this one role. You can pretty much expect you're not going to get that. And so, like a year after I fell in love with the show, Funimation got the license. And I was like, that's the first thing that has to happen. It would have to go to a company that I work with. Then Caitlin was wanting to direct it. And she got selected to direct it. I was like, that was a great thing to happen. Now, unless you think that Caitlin would be like, "Oh, I'll bring in all my friends to play these roles." Caitlin is not like that. She is way too professional, and she loves Ouran way too much to just cast people because they're her friends. She even told me that one day. We were outside the studio, and she came to me and she said, "Now, look, I know that all the fans are online saying you should play Tamaki, and I know that you want to play Tamaki really bad, but I just want to tell you that I'm going to do what's best for the show. I have to cast who's best for the show. I have to cast like the best ensemble. You know, you might be the greatest Renka, but if you don't fit well with the rest of the cast, then maybe you need to get somebody else, you know." And so I was like, "But you told me I was Tamaki." "You said I was." And I was like pulling out, you know, all the stops, trying to play all the cards. And it didn't work. She's like, you know, "You're great and stuff." No, I didn't get the role. Can you believe it? But then they had auditions, and I went into auditions. And you guys, you know what? I've auditioned for 150 shows before I went into audition for Ouran. And you know, it's no big deal. You know, get nervous, get used to it. And I was actually nervous. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, because I had all these hopes on this character. And I went in, the first thing Caitlin said was, "Well, we know who you want to read for." I was like, "Tamaki?" And so I read for Tamaki, and I was hoping that she was going to go, "That was amazing. That was perfect. Done. I'll cast you right here on the spot." And I finished, and I felt really good about the audition, and she went, "Okay, do you want to read for anyone else?" My heart just went, ooh. And so I said, yeah, okay, I'll read for Kilya, and I'll read for one of the twins, and I read for Beelzebub, or not Beelzebub, don't tell me, Nekuzawa, and so then I was done, and I left, and I was like, oh, I went off to Kauai-Con in Hawaii, and I was there for a convention, and a couple of days after we were there, Caitlin called me and told me that I was going to play Tamaki. So unlike any other show I've ever played, every line I did, I savored it. You know, because I love being a part of that show. That may be like one of my favorite experiences because I just loved. There was so much anticipation about it. I mean, it wasn't even that way with Full Metal. With Full Metal, I didn't even know anything about the show when I got casted yet. So that was kind of a learning process. And I came to understand what an amazing show Full Metal was after I was halfway through it, you know. But after 10 or 15 episodes. But anyway, that's some of the main things I love about Aura. Questions?
Yes. If you weren't a voice actor, what would you do?
Well, that's an awesome question, too, because, you know, a lot of voice actors have many different jobs. I don't know if you know this or not, but, like, I can't even think of any voice actors who make a full-time living doing nothing but voice acting. It doesn't pay a ton of money, but we all do different things. For me, like I said, my degree is in film. I do a lot of video and film production work, but more than that, I do a lot of music work. Before I got in with ADV, I was writing and producing music professionally, and I still do a lot of that. I've produced probably 15 or 20 albums for different people, and I've written hundreds of songs and written hundreds of jingles and theme songs for radio and television commercials. You're... What? I'm coming that way? Oh, okay. Well, I'll start that way. But let me finish my answer for this poor guy here. Graphic design, I do a lot of graphic design work. And I just love to do anything kind of a creative nature. And I didn't get into anything that I got into because I thought I'd make a lot of money at it. I just did it because I thought it would be fun. And there were certain gifts that God had given me, and I just wanted to do those things. And let me encourage you guys. I know a lot of people my dad was one of them, who got into a job that he hated. And he just hated his life. He hated getting up every morning and going to work. And he'd get home and he hated the rest of the evening because he knew he was going back the next day to work. And there's no amount of money that makes that okay. There's no amount of money that will make you happy in your life if you hate what you do. I promise you, as an old guy, let me tell you, young guys, you will be infinitely happier making $30,000 a year at something you love than making $500 grand at something you loathe. I promise you. Okay? So, keep that in mind. And yes, what are you doing? What? Wait a minute. Why is she not on mic right now? What's the matter? They need to hear her blasphemy.
I told you Dragon Con to bring black pants to AWA.
Why?
Because I made you a dark mouthy.
Glory to God! I am so putting this on!
Okay, give me 1 second. I have to change.
You're not really going to make me do this, right? You know what I said about Bono, you guys? I take it back! I can take all of you. Okay, I'll do it. If this was a Star Trek uniform, I'd be like, get it already. Okay. Really? This too? You're going to kill me.